We're picking up where we left off with Dayo Okunlola on the Mind Shift. Stay locked in as we continue.
So then the other thing after just be realistic with yourself is create or get yourself in positions where you're accessible, right? Um, don't come to church or whatever gathering you go that's large enough that has like-minded people like you that you know that you could find somebody here who is a partner. Don't go to that place rushing in and rushing out. Take your time. Walk slowly through the crowd, in and out. Make yourself noticeable. It's important to do that. It's not show off. It is strategic. Okay.
Mhm.
That's things that you have to do as a human being on the surface. But in the spiritual realm, because I'm a man of faith, you have to pray. Because you see, I always tell the story of how my wife and I met, right? I was really so much in a very, very lonely state. Sorry, people from Alabama, but the part of Alabama I was leaving at that time was very lonely. I was working in a company, and then there was really literally nobody around, other than we go to work, come back, you're tired, and that's it, right? So um, I needed to do something that's not normal to,
Mhm.
to some people, right? As far as reaching out and making sure that you find the right match. Sometimes you may not even find the right match, or your wife or your husband where you're thinking. It may come where you're not thinking. And in most cases, it actually do come from where you're not thinking. It comes when you're not anxious about it, when you're not thinking about it. Most times they do. So a friend of mine introduced me to, I can't remember the name of the app. So I got on the app just for fun, right? I just let's see. They asked me too, and so let me try it out. So I did try it out, and that's where I actually met my wife. It's more stories too. I sent her a message. She replied after so many long time, and there's also the story of consistency comes in there too. Like, if you really need it, you have to be consistent. I say this all the time. Marriage is work. Okay,
Yeah.
it takes work, and you have to be ready to do the work to make it work, or
Yes.
else you
Yes,
don't do the
yes.
work. So um,
Yes,
it's
yes.
It's work.
but at least find the person first that you're going to make it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
If
that's the story. It's a lot more story I can tell you guys, but I think those ladies had to at least change their expectation, change their mindset. And one thing about mindset I like to chip in before you guys come in, and I know we're probably at time, is this is how mindset works, right? Somebody who says a glass of water is half full, and somebody who says a glass of water is half empty. They're both right, okay?
Mhm.
Just that one is focused on emptiness, they're
Mm,
focused on sufficiency, okay? So what you focus on becomes your reality.
mm,
One that says half full eventually would be excited about, will be grateful for that half full cup, right?
Right.
And they're not bothered whether that cup gets to the brim or not. They're just grateful to have that water in that cup. Okay, guess what? That person is going to have that cup filled to the brim and overflowing, just with that attitude of gratitude. Okay, and the person focuses on emptiness rather than being grateful for that half full or half full glass, and they're seeing emptiness. That's just too negative, right? The mind is wired to see negative stuff. They don't see the positive side of anything. It's all about perspective. It's the same cup, the same amount of water in
Yeah.
it, but they just read a different information from it, and they focus on that information. And guess what? That information will create the future they will live in. It's gonna create their reality for them. If they don't change their perspective of that cup, that glass of water. If they don't change it, it's going to fix it. They're just going to fix their mind on it. They're going to keep complaining. They're never going to be satisfied, and they're going to start getting angry at people, get angry at life, and blaming people because they're not getting things they want to get at life, instead of them to just change their mindset,
Yeah.
see it as helpful, and be grateful, and things start flowing in for them.
Absolutely. That perspective taking is a huge portion. In your journey, you talked about the change from Alabama to Georgia. So that in itself was a transformation. So speaking about transformation, your book, Change for Change, emphasized on transformation. How does it how does this message connect to the mission of the Mind Shift Initiative?
It does a lot, and thank you for that question. It's a lot of story to personal story. I lived in New York when I was in grad school, and I always say that that 2 years, the experience I had then, and the lessons I learned, um, outweighed all the lessons I had learned from the start of my life up to that before that point. Okay, it was just 2 years packed with a lot of lesson. But one thing was so common to all those pockets of lessons I had. I had to change something for something to change about my life. Okay. Um, Everybody needs to understand that we are ultimately responsible for the outcomes of our life. There's other factors that come into it. Okay. Now, but ultimately, you and I, we are responsible. Let me say that again. You and I, we are responsible for the outcomes of our life. Now, spiritual factors inclusive, we're responsible for the outcome of our life. So every time that anybody wakes up and decides to have a change of life, and they get a head start, and they get ahead of it, and their life is actually changing, it's because the same rights that you had and the same right I had, they utilize theirs better, because everybody have equal rights to create the kind of life that we desire. The,
Quick.
di- the difference is we do not make equal sacrifices to show how much we want the kind of life we want.
Can I ask a real quick question? Right. As you're saying that though, like, but can we be honest about our starting point? We have the same play field, but do you factor in the starting point? Does that
Yeah.
change the
Okay.
perspective a little?
So I do factor in the starting point. Okay. Um, my wife always says something and my wife will say that since I knew about your story, I feel like anybody born, and this is not my word, this is her word. I've told her not to say that a lot of times. She still says it, she still believes it. She says that from the day I listened to your story, I realized that anybody who was born in the US have a chance and do not have an excuse. Now, because the truth is, if I take you through my starting point, um, maybe, and if I have the time to go through that starting point, people can see that. But have we asked ourselves this question before? That people now focus too much on their starting point, how bad it is, that they are not motivated enough to see what they can get ahead. Okay. So we may have a really bad starting point. We may have a starting point, and there's several examples I can cite, right? Black community do not have the same starting point as the white community in America. That's the truth, flat out, point blank. It's the truth. But then are you going to say that because you did not have the same starting point as your white counterpart, you're just going to take the back seat and relax and do nothing? No, that should not be the answer. That really is the message in that book. Regardless of where you're starting from, you can still create a change.
Yeah.
You can create a change that the next generation can pick up from and continue that change. Just because you did not have the same starting point, I recognize that you may not have the same progress rate as your white counterpart, but progress, however how small it is still defined as progress. Take that, celebrate that, build on it,
Mm-hmm.
hand it over to the next generation. Let them take it and build on that progress. And let's keep building on it. Let's keep building on it. Let's not sit back and say, because we did not have a great starting point, you know, there's no point for you to go to school. Just don't go to school to that generation. And that person grows up to be an adult, gives birth, tells the same to their kids, don't go to school. And that grows up, tells the same to their kids, don't go to school. And we keep playing the cards that we're not supposed to be playing if we really,
Mm-hmm.
really want to turn things around. So change for change talks about a lot of things that actually can be changed regardless of where you're starting from. You can
Mm-hmm.
change your mind, you can change your life. There's so many
Yeah.
elements of change that I mentioned in the book. It talks about how you can even find yourself. There's a tool in the book called identity search tool in that book, that I wrote. It can help you really navigate life. Just think about, even though you're not a child, if you pick this book and you want to start on a clean slate your life, and you want to put shape to it, put structure to it, and you pick this book, every step of the way, this book will be there to hand hold you to that point where you need to be. You know,
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
change is not an easy ride, but it's something worth committing to.
Yeah. So I want to see if we can give our listeners maybe like two or three quick strategies for our youth, especially because this season we're focusing on our youth and young adults. But what can they do daily to to enjoy a mind shift journey? Like, is there some maybe two or three things they can do daily to push themselves in a different mind shift?
Okay, so I'm going to be very, very generic. Uh,
Okay.
what you can do as an individual may not be what others should do or what can do. Okay, generic, and it could apply to you, and it may not apply to you. Okay, uh, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is embrace your journey. Okay, on a daily basis, embrace your journey. And if you're embracing a journey, you must already have a journey, right? Don't don't just live life. Don't wake up every morning without a set goal. Okay? Don't live life without a set goal. And how to get to that goal is that journey. It's not going to be easy. Nothing great comes easy. You got to fight for it. Show up every day as hungry as you can to get it. Okay, so embrace your journey. And as you go in that journey, make sure that, sorry, I'm going to sound cliche, but that's how I do it daily. Depend on God. Okay, so if you have a plus factor if you know and serve God. Okay, so depend on God, because truthfully, there's nothing you can do about your mind
Mm-hmm.
without the creator of that mind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
embrace your journey, depend on God. And the last thing, which it may sound a little controversial, but I always say it everywhere I go. Give yourself room to fail.
Mm, that's
Don't
deep.
don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself room to fail. People who fail are great people. People who don't fail are people who never tried. If you're failing, it's an indication that you're already trying. You're doing something worthwhile. That's why you have to fail. So give yourself room to fail. But what you don't do after you fail is that you don't give up. Give it another try, another shot. You might just be eating it the next time around. That's it.
I love it. So, how can parents support young people in those three things that you just said? Is there something that they should be doing differently, or should they move out of the way?
And
Um,
and tying the trust to the trust aspect as well.
Well, so for parents who you've lost your the trust of your kids, it's your fault. Be hard on you, parents. Now it is your fault. Um, because many a times we try to do things as parents in a way thinking that we are helping those kids, and then we start to show them reasons to not trust us. Every time somebody knocks at your door or pushes your doorbell and you tell your child to tell them that you're not home, you're giving your child a reason to not trust you. Every time that you send that child to school and you've done their homework for them, what they should have done for themselves, you're giving them a reason to not trust you. Okay? Some little things that we do that we don't know because, and the reason why we don't think those things violate trust is because they're so minute to us, not thinking that they're not minute to those kids. They are real issues to those kids. That's the you know how we face real issues now with work. That's their own real issues. School is that child's real issues now. You got to think that way. So if you're lying to that child or creating a lie, false narrative around something that's real to him or her now, then he's going to end up not trusting you. Or does it have to do with something with that child? Maybe the child told you something and you went to tell the pastor, and then the pastor in return called the child and tell the child the same thing they told you. You just violated the rule of trust. 101. 101. Okay, they are kids, they are children, but they should also be dealt with as human beings. If it's something really big and you're going to violate that trust, you got to talk about it. They don't have to agree, but let them know I'm going to talk to pastor about this. Not going behind them and just talking to them and they get blindsided and they get called. Trust me, that child
yeah,
will not tell you the next big thing to them, which may not be big to you. But guess what? It'll be big because you're losing trust.
yeah, yeah.
So the way to gain it back, you have to start. It's the same way you try to build trust with your wife or your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Create events that show that you can be trusted again. Start creating those events. Start to create it. We know how to create events. Create those events. Let them happen organically. When they happen naturally, take advantage of it. But when they don't happen, create them. Okay? And make sure that you follow through. Make sure that you're trusted every step of the way. That's how you gain your trust back. And they will come running back telling you the same thing. It's easier when they're not teenagers, but when they're teenagers, you're gonna have to try harder.
As you're navigating through that, how are you able to address the stigma around mental health in your work with young people? I mean, I understand the magnitude of establishing trust, but how do you address the stigma surrounding mental health in your work with the young ones?
So if I take a step back, I think what you're asking is how do you help the younger ones to to trust again, to trust their parents again, to trust whoever they're not trusting. Some people are not worthy of trust. Okay, so you just have to make sure you're trusting the right people. So, of course, your parents are the right people to trust. Okay, but maybe some friends that you've lost trust, maybe it's just meant to be. You lose them, let them go, right? So, again, as I said, it just depends on what the case, right? The person from person, it varies from person to person. So, we need to understand this person. We need to see what the fundamental of that break in trust is, right? Is it from lies? Is it, something that's deceitful? And I've actually may have to encourage that younger person to just take it because it's not meant to be, right? But if it's meant to be, we have to talk to them, okay? Because when you lose trust in one person, this thing called trust, we think it's just us parents when kids lose trust in us. No, it's not just us. Anybody that represents or that's in a place of authority, they find it hard to trust that person too when they lose trust in you as parents. Okay, until you're proving otherwise. That's why when I'm starting for the first time to get in a class where I've got young adults, my first goal is they have to trust me. And it's not something you cook up, because if you cook it up and you lose that trust, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not their parents. They don't have to trust you. They have no business with it. But once they gain that trust and you gain that trust, don't mess it up. So one of the things that I personally do, um, to win people's trust, or even to help them trust the people who matter most in their lives, but they have violated their trust, is to try to see a reason why this person was in your life to begin with. Okay? So for me, I create for you as a young person a need for me, a need for the value I bring to the table for you. You're just going to see that this person is very valuable to my success, to my life. And once you see that person is valuable in that sphere of influence, you're going to start trusting my judgment in that sphere. And the more you trust my judgment, the more I show up for you, the more you trust my judgment. The more I show up, the more you trust my judgment. Everything we're talking about here takes work. It's not easy. Okay, so that's the same way. So when I'm trying to help a child to navigate this trust issue with parents or with anybody who matter a lot to them, I must be in communication with this person, because as I help them to reframe their personality with their child, they need to be feeding into that new personality. They need to be showing that person, that child at home, that I'm a new person. I am who this your teacher or whoever they want to call me says I am, okay? Because you trust that person, they trust me, and I say this is who your parent is. When they get home, they better not see anything otherwise, because that's conflict of information, right? So that's one way we do it. The other way that I always encourage parents, depending on the age range, whatever age your child is, you need to make sure that you are present, present. And this is not just the mothers alone. I see this a lot, especially in the African community. Mothers are present, fathers are absent. You can't be absent now and expect the child to be present when you're old. No, it doesn't work that way. It does
Yeah.
not work that way. So you have to be present now for them to be present in the future when you're much older.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So you have to be present. And when you're present as the father figure, they know you as you're a disciplinarian. You say your no as your no, your yes as your yes. They will know you for that. You
Mm-hmm.
draw a line.
Yeah.
They'll know even
Yeah.
for that. So it's very, very important to be able to understand these things. Just in summary, create those events. As I said, partner with somebody that your child trusts to create to build that trust back. And then
Mm-hmm.
the third thing is be present. Don't take off today. And again, this is part of those little things that we do as parents. Your child has a game, and it's okay to not make games once or twice, but first week you promise you're going to be at that game, but something came up for you somewhere and you had to cancel on your child. First week you did it, second week you did it, third week you did it, fourth week you did it. What do you think you're doing? You're losing trust,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah.
So those things, they matter a lot to those kids. Think about it again. The way you see work and your marriage as real issues for you, they see those things as real issues for them.
So, is it fair to say that, just for our listener, that when it comes to trust, it's earned? I think sometimes as parents or adults, we just assume that that should come naturally, without working, towards earning that trust, especially young people.
Yes. The the only people that will trust you, that you don't have to work for it, that after you lose that trust, you're gonna even work harder than people who are just co-workers trying to build trust, are your children, your kids. They come naturally from birth with trust. They trust you so much. Please don't lose that natural trust from heaven. But if you lose it, you're gonna work super hard to get it back. You can get it back, and you're gonna have to earn it. Earning it is hard work. I've seen it. That's why I'm saying it's hard work. Trust me, it is hard work. I have countless examples of parents, friends of mine, right, in their 40s, and they still do not trust their parents because they lost it at some point. Okay? It's a lot of work to get it back. So
Yeah.
it must be earned every day. And even
Yeah.
if you already have those natural trusts from heaven, water it. It's like a plant. If you have a plant that's growing from a seed, if you don't water, it's going to die. Put water on that trust. Okay. Create events to sustain the trust. Let them trust you even more. Let them trust you to a point that no matter what anybody says to them, they don't care. They just
Yeah.
say is what you say. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. So we want to know what exciting projects, programs, events, do you have anything upcoming? Maybe for you as an author or for your Mindshift initiative?
There's a bunch. Um, there's usually we're going through 2026 planning now. And every year we usually have like e-conferences every quarter. So I'm looking forward to Q1 2026. And as far as a book, I'm writing a book, another one that's coming out, but that just resonates about love, not love as in marriage, but
Mm-hmm.
love as in society. Because
Mm-hmm.
some of those problems that we see that are societal, it's because there really isn't love in the society anymore. If you take a step back and think about it, everybody's just going around thinking about me, myself, and I. And when I mean me, myself, and I, it could be you, your family, and yourself, not just you personally. Just thinking about your family alone, not your society, not wanting to give, is selfish. That is
Mm.
becoming a menace in our society, and it's causing more
Mm-hmm.
trouble. It's getting people to, just beautiful smile to somebody, just asking somebody, how's your day been on the street, who's not your family, who you don't even know from Adam, just asking them, how's your day been, can go a long way to stop that person from committing suicide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what the book is all about, Sam. Hopefully, I don't have a timing for it, but it's in works.
Great, great. Can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, how can our listeners support you? I mean, we've talked about a lot of good nuggets here, Change for Change, the book that's coming up, just Mind Shift Initiative. Like, how can our listeners support you? How can we find you?
So if you want to find me, it's I'm everywhere on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Great presence too. Just search for my name, Dayo, and my last name Okunlola, Okunlola, and the same name on Facebook as well. And from time to time, I also, just drop inspirations as I get them, and mostly from personal experiences, from what I read, and sometimes I test them, sometimes I don't, but I just agree with them, and post them to lift people up. I do a lot of, again, as I said, conferences. Leadership conference, mindset conferences. So, I mean, you can, just sign up, join, and be happy to be friends and with our listeners tonight. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dio. This was awesome. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and engage with us on the Mind Shift Initiative and Change for Change. We wish you all the best. Thank you, listeners. As always, you can find us at Heal With Us at atlantatreatmentcenter.org if you have any questions or comments.